Okay, for Ay Papi. First of all, what's the translation for the audio and the video? Because she could only translate so much, but from, I don't speak Spanish, so from what I was hearing, I was, like, very confused.
Yeah, me too. It is right.
Yeah, so I guess, like, what's the main...
So the only words that I kept in there, because the original song, I mean, it's just these, like, drum beats and stuff, but I had never actually heard this song until I actually researched Ay Papi, just the actual slogan. And so what it says is, like, get on all fours, and the other part is grab my butthole. So those are the 2 lines that I used in that video.
Oh,
That's
I
what it
didn't
says
pick that one up.
Right.
I got the all fours, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And something about being wet. I think that's
The
what
wet, yeah, something. And it feels good. Like it came off, yeah. Like it was something about being sexual.
Yeah, I think there might be. I should just play it. I should like play it and then hear it. But I do believe that there is something that says, she's wet or something like that. Yeah.
It's funny.
It's very sexual.
What is the significance of the burritos and their placement in your dress?
So I think you can start seeing like the resemblance between, when I talked about sugar and spice and everything nice, like, I'm looking at the materials and I'm seeing that they can transform from soft to hard. So in Ay Papi, it's the same thing where I'm using, the soft burrito, so the beans in a soft format and then a cooked format, and then the dry garment piece. So I'm combining both the wet and the solid. So it's also the masculine and the feminine. And there's also the theory of Freud that he talks about the phallus, or what he calls phallic. And the phallus is really not just the genitals of a man, but it's who holds the power. And so for me, it was really important. Like the burritos become that symbol of power. And I mean, one of my professors told me, it is very, it demeans men in a way, and I didn't completely understand what he was talking about, but I know I do, because the burrito does become that emblem of power, and I eat it, and I take it away, and I really am trying to take it away, because I have the power. And that's really important for me. As an artist, I think it is very important to take the position of power, because that's how you have conversations with your audience.
I think one of her questions about your work was speaking about how you get away with being so sexual in your videos.
Well, more like, I mean, us as students and, other people that are a little bit more open-minded about it, it's like, wow, especially explaining it, it's like it has a lot of meaning. But I was just kind of curious to, like, has she ever gotten in trouble? Or, like, there's those people from the department that are like, oh my God, that's just unprofessional, unethical, whatever. They have something always to say. What has been, like, your biggest, I guess, or who has been your biggest critic, and what have they said?
I actually, it's really interesting, because I think that in academia, I don't, especially I think the art department in itself is one of these areas where it kind of stands out because it does not completely follow all the social norms that any other department would actually hold. Because a lot of things are not valid when it comes down to art making. Like, art making is it's like a sacred place where you can touch upon any topic. And that's one of the reasons I think that people become artists, because that's the only, there's like a theory that says, some of the most dangerous, like art, it's like people make art in order not to do dangerous things. So these ideas that we suppress so much of what we really think or how we really feel, you can place that energy into art making. And I think that's really important, because, if you think about it, we all are always living through all these different rules. We have to follow these different rules. But the art department is a different place, because you can break rules, because it is in the name of art. And I always ask my students, like, where are those lines? And I make lines for myself. So within other faculty members, I think that because they see that it's a big joke. The whole video is, I tackle humor because when I wink at my audience, I'm saying, I know that you know that this is fake. You know that you know? I'm really interested in them knowing, like, I'm letting them into the joke. The joke is that we're all hypersexualized, women and men, and we all follow it, and nobody talks about it, and everybody's okay with it. And it's not okay, yet I'm presenting it, and I'm laughing at it, and I'm saying, this is ridiculous. So when people from art faculty look at it, they know what I'm talking about. I don't know if the larger audience knows, but that doesn't matter to me. It matters that there's this space that people can ask questions, and they can say, what the heck is this? Why? And if they really look at it and research it, they're going to find answers. That it really is about our bodies, and because everybody owns our bodies except for us, and it's very important for an artist to own their own body, their own image.
Going back kind of to what we had when we started off saying that contemporary art not necessarily needs to be explained, but it makes more sense when it's explained. And, you know, going with the winking, you know, after doing a whole the sexual poses, the stripper heel, like, you know what I mean, after doing all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then winking, couldn't it be misinterpreted as kind of like a flirtatious wink? Or, you see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't need to be explained, but when you get the explanation, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Or I see it differently.
No,
Yeah.
I understood it as, like, don't take this seriously, like, that's how I understood it.
Yeah, I think
when
it's
first
different
saw
for
it.
different people,
Yeah.
right? Because and I think that's the thing. Like, it shows, and you know, it shows sometimes when you have an art opening or when you have an art show, it says a lot more about your audience than yourself, because people are going to take based on their experience. Like, for instance, if you wink flirtatiously, it's different from winking when you tell a joke and then you wink afterwards. Everything I do is like a big joke. I'm basically giving you the joke, and then I'm winking afterwards, which rectifies the fact that it is a joke. But if but I totally understand, like, the other perspective where you say, oh, well, you're just doing this sexual thing, but you know, after doing sexual things, like, I don't wink to my husband, you know, like so there's because then it would devalue the actual sexual act, right? And so, like, sexual acts, like, actually really serious, right? Like, if you actually have, like, a sexual relationship with somebody, and if you laugh, it's over.
Yeah.
It's over. And so, but if so, then there's, you see, like, I'm hoping that people, like, tune into these clues, because the wink is actually, like, it has to be used appropriately, right? But and then the wink is also used differently by different cultures. So, but I'm not here to say, like, to interpret that for different cultures. It's just like a joke that is said in Spanish. Sometimes it can't be interpreted in English.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the way it is. And so either you get it or you don't. I don't think my parents got it. I think they see the video and they're like, this lady is crazy.
That is another good question. What do your parents, like, are they, like, what do they say? Like, are they kind of like, oh, what are you doing? Or, oh, wow, that's good, I like that. Or, like, what kind of feedback do you get from them?
Well, I've made sculptures for a long time, right? And then I was very interested in, like, kinetic sculptures, how sculptures can move. And then I started doing performance because I was very obsessed with the moving. So my mother says, you should go back to making beautiful sculptures. And I say, I'm making beautiful work. She's like, yeah, but I don't know. I don't get it. I explain it over and over again, but I don't think that it actually makes sense, even after I explain it. So, you know, every art student gets asked, like, who you're making artwork for, and I think it's really important to understand. And I try to make artwork for both people. I try to, for the educated and the non-educated, I try to, like, have conversations with people who don't know if anything that's happened in the art world. Like, it's like if I go into the music department, like, I don't know all the history of music, like, and I don't know, you know, if it's at this higher level. Like, I don't, sometimes I'm not sure if I know the difference between, you know, high culture music and non-culture music, but I'm really interested. And so it's like a connoisseur of wine tasting, you know. It's like some people go into that wine tasting and into this genre, and then they know how to tell a cheap one from a really good one. I try to use different things because I like to have an open communication with people who are not educated about art and people who are. So that's where I stand. I don't like to have it just for the sophisticated eye.
I guess we already kind of talked about the whole sexuality and culture thing. Trying to